everyone, and welcome back to
Sustainability-Tea.
Today in this episode, we brought a few of our favorite professors. Would you guys like to introduce yourselves?
I'm David Taylor, Associate Professor in Environmental Humanities and Interim Director of Sustainability.
I'm Dr. Sharon Pochron, and you are all in my worm lab.
Hey, I'm Adam Charboneau, and I'm a lecturer in Sustainability Studies.
I think I would like to go scuba diving in a carousel. That would be next on my list.
Greenland. No, it's a bad joke. Actually, the place I'm hoping to go, and it's not very exotic, but Patterson Falls, the waterfalls.
Where's in Greenland?
Patterson, Jersey.
Oh, in
My
Jersey.
daughter this summer, so something.
I think also Iceland would be a nice place to spend some time. I've been thinking about this for a while. So yeah.
This one seems like it's trouble. And
Well, you know that's why it's Sustainability time.
Talk that tea.
Have a popular vote right
Yes, we do.
It would probably be the two beside me because they're both ecologists or ecologists in training, certified.
You can keep putting Adam on all the committees with me because I like his company, and David's too, so I guess these two.
Nice.
You're going to have to come up with something new.
I definitely wouldn't go with these two. No, I'm teasing. I would be thrilled. No, actually, it is one of the nice things. Our faculty in sustainability, there's folks I would travel with anywhere. You know, it's fun. I don't get to spend enough time with Dr. Finn, but the little bit of time I've walked with him around campus, I feel like I learned so much about the design. It's always nice learning things that I wasn't trained to think about, and that's always really enjoyable. I actually now drive through Port Jeff Station with a whole different eye than I did before because of Dr. Charboneau.
Yeah, I heard when we were first on the Zoom meeting with Dr. Charboneau, he was like telling us your research in Port Jeff Station right now. You want to actually like talk a little bit about that?
I have to be very quick because otherwise we'll be here till like 3. So it's just, I'm interested in the ways in which the navigating toward the clean energy future actually occurs and affects at the hyper-local level. There has been the reassessment of a power plant that is in Port Jefferson that has provided that village with about half of its annual revenues. And that reassessment, depreciated significantly, means a significant reduction in its revenues. It's been explicitly noted that we're on a pro-growth development, try to plug that gap of increasingly lost revenue over this glide path. Now, the village has used urban renewal, a blight study to get urban renewal, and now through the powers of eminent domain, it's trying to make the upper port area more accommodating to development. And what's lost in there is the only Spanish-speaking grocery market that caters to that community. And what will be lost in upper port, it's a spate of all kinds of Spanish-speaking Latinx or Latino businesses and residences. The story we've been covering, and it's a story where for some, this transition to a renewable future where they hope to have electrified train station, all these things to bring needed amenities to an underserved community, which might be a new community. For some, this narrative might be one of displacement.
I just learned so many things in that. That's one of my former students works for Newsday. I think you should talk to her. I got here because I love animals. When I was a kid, I wanted to be a veterinarian. I went through all of my young life planning on being a veterinarian. As I was applying to vet schools, my advisor at the time said, "Sharon, do you even like medicine?" And I said, "No." And he said, "What are you doing?" And so I decided to get, at the very last minute, get a PhD in animal behavior, specifically in monkey behavior. The thing about loving wild animals is that you have to protect where they live. It turns you into an accidental conservationist. So I am no longer a primate biologist, and instead I'm an environmental scientist. And that shift came through my desire to keep the ecosystems livable.
Didn't you used to do research in Africa?
I did. I lived in Tanzania in Ruaha National Park for 2 years. And I studied wild baboons. Everywhere they went, I went. And I had amazing wildlife adventures to see elephants where they live, and baboons where they live, and mongooses, monkeys, wild forest hogs.
What made you want to come to Stony Brook to teach compared to like research in like, I don't know, Australia or something?
I did not come to Stony Brook to teach. In fact, if you had asked me then, I would have said that I did not like teaching.
No,
I did not
Diva.
want to teach. My first job that brought me here to Stony Brook was at Pat Wright's postdoc. And so I studied lemurs, and Pat and I have co-authored maybe 20 papers on lemur behavior. Was in fact while I was working for her, because Madagascar is so small as a location, you really can save it, as Pat did, and that was inspiring. So looking at the limitations of land and land use patterns and the importance of keeping land available for both the primates and the people, because people are important too. It was with my dual interests that I sort of slid from primatology to environmental science.
I grew up next to about 2,000 acres of more or less open land and woods. It was a floodplain for a reservoir in Texas. As a little kid, I was pushed out the door by my parents. They would lock the door in the summers between when I was 9 and 12, and I was expected to go to the woods and go hunting or fishing and bring home something to eat pretty much every day of the summer. So I was always in the woods as a kid. So by the time I started thinking about school, I went to the University of North Texas. I signed up for a biology class with the idea that I was going to become an environmental scientist. It was the worst, awful, horrific, boring, dull, disinterested class I ever took in my collegiate career. And I just had a basic response of F science. So then my English professors and my philosophy professors were really intriguing and engaged. They were really nice people. As a first generation college student, a couple of them took me under their wing and taught me how to go to school. So by the time I started my master's, I ended up having a mentor, a guy named Max Oschlager, who was one of the sort of founding figures in environmental philosophy. So I took some of the first environmental philosophy classes taught in the United States. It really made an impact. So when I went on for my PhD, I was able to cobble together a group of diverse people on my committee. And my dissertation was about the history of science in the mid-19th century. So when the job opened up here 10 years ago, I moved up here, and I have always loved teaching, but I really love teaching with the idea that I get to work with people who are not in my field. I'm really challenged daily by having people that are outside of my field, and yet we're connected by this question of sustainability.
I like to see, I love animals, I love people. I like to see people happy, and I think they're happiest when they're in sustainable environments.
Well, yes.
You can't be in sustainable environments if you're tearing at one another. As a historian, I've always kept a focus on what are those kinds of public policies and customs and these structural forces that work in certain ways to produce inequalities, and through those inequalities, again, work to divide in a world where we need to more and more come together, see, collaborate, take our different interests and use them holistically to meet this most pressing challenge of climate change.
I would shape almost all of our classes to have an experiential learning component, to where we're both in the class, but then we're doing something. The one thing that I think separates us from some of the other kinds of studies is that we do a good job, I think, at the junior and senior level of doing this, but I think it also needs to happen at the 100 and 200 level.
Unlimited budget?
Yeah, shoot for the stars.
Okay, so I'm taking all of the sustainability studies majors to UPI with Chris Paparo.
This is for the dean. New building, right on West Campus, so we can all be housed together and more accessible for the larger student population. Hey, yes, sustainability, we're here.
My group of students, Alana Earls, Esther Poon, Faria Lauren, Suzette Hernandez, who graduated last year, and Giovanni Truman, just published a book, Nature State of Mind. It's now going to be available, and it is an outstanding book. It is an outstanding project. It took them a year to pull this together. It's one that makes me really, really proud of their good work.
There's so many amazing things to shout out that I had to sift through my mind about the one that I was going to pick. So all of you Worm Lab students, you guys are awesome, and keep doing the good work. Keep coming back and training the other students how to be great Worm Lab leaders. But the shout out I'm going to give is everybody go take a walk in Ashley Schiff Park.
Sharon just stole my thunder, but these two have been working with the Schiff Preserve for a long, long time. President's right here, doing awesome, awesome work. I enjoy it. We're going out to pick up, whatever kind of debris we see in the preserve on Saturday. I know this will be posted sometime after that, but get in your time machine, come back and pick up debris with us.
I want to add to that. So not only is the Ashley Schiff Woods amazing, but if you take a hot minute and look at the trees on campus, our forest, the Ashley Schiff Woods and Clara's Woods, are peppered with trees called the American chestnut, which are listed as functionally extinct. My friends, they are not functionally extinct. They are living here. And if you take a hot minute and look, you can have that hot, heart-stopping moment where you're looking at a tree that is living in a forest of similar trees that exist in very few other places. So go walk in Clara's Woods and Ashley Schiff Woods and find those trees. They're amazing.
And then, just like these two students were in the nature writing and photography course, honor it with a nice piece of writing and some images so that you can share this with others.
Okay, well, thank you so much, guys.
Wait, is it Sustainability-Tea time?
Yeah!